Welcome back, pupils. It's a great day to challenge our minds to learn something new. I hope you have been keeping safe, and I also hope that you have been reading a lot more. Remember, the more you read, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more places you will go. So stay tuned as we learn today about a new comprehension skill. For our lesson, we are going to be looking at making judgment. Do you know what it is to make a judgment? Making judgment is the making of decisions and opinions wisely. We use facts from the stories coupled with what we know to form an opinion, either about the character or a situation in the story. Now here we are talking about facts, and if you can remember, we looked at finding facts and details to better understand a situation. So in order to make a judgment, you definitely need to know to skim and scan to look for those facts and details. Now what are the steps we must take in order to make good judgment? Judging a text requires the same steps as if you were evaluating something. It needs to be examined properly. You also need to have good knowledge on the elements of a story. If you can remember some of those elements, we have character, we have plot, we have setting. Those are just examples. You also have the conflict or high point of the story and the resolution. Now, in making judgments, your personal opinion may be reflected, but you have to have good reason or supporting details for the judgment made. Your judgment must be very believable based on what the story is. Now, when you make a judgment, you use the text evidence and your own life experience to form an opinion about a character, as I said earlier, or an event. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into an activity to see if we can make judgment. Here I have a story. Let's read. A tiny owl is looking for a home. She can live where it is hot. The owl flies to a cactus plant. The cactus is as tall as a tree. A hole is near the top. The owl goes in. The hole is just the right size. The tiny owl can live inside the hole. She can lay eggs inside too. The cactus will be a good home for the tiny owl. Now that's our story. Now let's see if we could make judgment based on what we read. What is the story about? Was it about an owl lays egg? An owl looks for a place to live, or was it about a cactus plant has a hole? It was about an owl looking for a place to live. Now let's look at our next question. Which one tells about the owl? The owl is very big, the owl lives in a tree, or the owl is very small? if you go back to the story, you will find where it says a tiny owl is looking for a home. So we can say that the owl is very small. The last question based on this passage: is the cactus a good place for the owl to live? Whatever your answer is, you must say, how do you know that? Now in the story, it says in the last part, the cactus will be a good home for the tiny owl. So yes, the cactus will be a good place for the owl to live. And how do we know that? Because it says that the hole is big enough to hold the tiny owl and her eggs. Also, the hole is near the top, away from predators on the ground. Those are just my opinion. And as I said, you can use some of your opinion to justify why you made such a judgment, but your answer must always be believable. Now here's another story. It's quite short, but this one you will try. Elsa and Todd wanted to do something fun and challenging, but keep cool at the same time. Elsa thought to play with water balloons, but Todd wanted to play in the pool. Now the questions are, based on the picture, as you can see the picture, what did they decide to do? And using the information from the text, why do you think they made that decision? Let's look at the first question. They decided to play with water balloons. Because if you look at the picture, the first question clearly says, based on the picture. And so you have to look at the picture to be able to make your judgment. Because in the story, there is nowhere that says what exactly they did. It said that they either wanted to play with the water balloons, which Elsa wanted to do, and then Todd, he wanted to play in the pool. But the picture shows us what they did exactly. So we can see there that they decided to play with water balloons. Now, the next question says, use the information now from the text. So just now we were using the picture. Now we are using information from the text to say why you think they made that decision. Now, based on the text, if you read in the first part, you would have read that they wanted to do something not just fun, because bathing in the pool is fun. So they wanted to do something fun, but it should have been challenging as well and they should have been able to keep cool. So that is why they decided to play with the water balloons, because it was fun, it was challenging because they were competing against each other, and the water, when it splashed on their skin, it would have kept them cool. So that's my bit of information to support the judgment that I would have made. Let's look at the other one. Jane and Josh always fought. They fought over who would sit in the front seat of the car and who was mom and dad's favorite. More than anything though, Jane and Josh always fought over toys. Mom would always tell Jane, "You're a big girl now. You don't need these baby toys. Let your brother have them. Play with your new toys." And there you could see in the picture, Jane and Josh fighting over a teddy bear. And the caption there is, "It's mine." Now let's answer these questions. Is this story considered to be realistic or fantasy? The next question, do you agree with Jane fighting over toys with Josh? What would you have done if you were Jane? Here, this question is asking a little more for your opinion. What facts from the passage cause you to make this decision? Take some time and answer these questions. Now, let's look at the answer. For the first question, you are asked, is this story considered realistic or fantasy? First of all, you must have knowledge of what the words realistic and fantasy mean. So, what does realistic mean? In that word, there is the word real. So, realistic has to mean that it is something that seems real or is close to real. And fantasy, we know it's something that's made up. Now, do you think this story is realistic? Most definitely. Do you and any of your siblings fight? Yes, it's something that happens every day. Should you fight? That is the next question. Now, do you agree with Jane fighting over toys with Josh? No, I do not agree with Jane for fighting over toys with Josh. What would you have done if you were Jane? Now again, you might, in answering this question, want to reflect on something that would have happened between you and a sibling or you and a friend. Now this is what I would have done. I would have allowed Josh to play with the toys. That's my opinion here. That's the judgment I would have made. I think that she should have allowed Josh to play with the toys. The last question says, what facts from the passage cause you to make this decision? If you read carefully, it says that Mom turned to Jane and said, "You are a big girl now. You don't need these baby toys." So Jane is a big girl and shouldn't be playing with baby toys. And the fact that she has new toys, she can more than likely allow her baby brother Josh to play with those toys. So there you see, we were making a judgment of the situation. Was she right to do it? What would you have done, or what would you encourage her to do? And why do you think, she should not have done those things? If you read carefully, you will be able to make good judgments. Let's look at this next story. It's a little longer, but it's a very interesting story on making judgments. Blake enjoyed playing baseball. It has been his favorite sport since he was 7 years old. He liked the challenge. Being in junior high was good for him. He was able to join the junior league baseball team called the Grovers. They practiced 3 times per week. Sometimes he enjoyed it, while at other times he thought it was a real drag. He was often excited when the league was off for the summer. One summer day, Blake and 3 of his friends decided to play baseball in the street outside his house. He considered for a brief moment that it could be risky, but they played anyway. He was looking forward to winning. His friends pitched the ball. Smack! Blake batted the ball with great skill. But at his dismay, the ball went straight through Mom's car window. "I knew we were playing too close to the car," he thought to himself as he quickly picked up the glass pieces. Wow, very interesting story. Now, can you name the main character in the story? Yes, the name of the main character there was Blake. So here we're going to be making judgments mainly based on Blake. Did he enjoy practicing often? No, he didn't. He did not enjoy practicing often. And it asks in the next question for the evidence from the passage to support your answer. So if you had said, yes, he enjoyed practicing often, you would have had to find evidence to support that. Here I'm saying no. The passage states he enjoyed practicing sometimes, but other times he thought it was a real drag. Now, was Blake's decision to play baseball in the street a good one? Nope, I do not feel it was. No, I do not. Now, how can you support that? The fact is that he ended up breaking mom's car window, and he did not put much thought into it. Remember, there are safety rules in that we should never play on the roadways. He could have gotten hurt, or just like what happened, he damaged his mother's car. Now, how did you find that activity? Did you have fun doing it? Were the judgments I shared close to yours, or were they different? Remember, whatever judgments you make about a text or a situation, you must have evidence to support that. But as always, I am sure that you did an awesome job. So let's do a general recap. When we make judgments, we use text evidence and our own experiences to form an opinion about either the character or a situation. So we look for the evidence, we try to link it to some experience or knowledge of whatever the situation was, and then we consider our personal beliefs. It is always fun to be with you. We have learned a lot and are now able to make better judgments. Remember, make sure you find other stories. Make sure that you read and you practice answering questions based on those stories. Stay safe and remember to join me, your friendly teacher, Ms. Shamshideen, next time on the Literacy Ladder.